I want to just go over again, see if tests. Okay, what I say. So Mechaber says over here, Hidlik, the guy put on the tanner, test. Talking about here, pas Akum, pas balabais, or so Hidlik, the guy put on the oven, the Jew put in the bread, or Hidlik Yisrael, the other way around, the Yid put on the fire, the guy put in the bread. Either way, it's good. Or Hidlik the guy did both. He put on the fire, he put on the bread, all he did was stir the fire, then it's okay. Now I want to explain, let me just, of this one, Nir Eish Ma'at, is a big machlekes of the poskim. Many poskim hold, it's not just a biyotzizam. It's got to be you stirred the coals. See, it's so far from us stirring coals, we don't know how that works. Stirring the coals meant it made the fire hotter. It means the bread baked a little quicker. If it's a joke though thing, many poskim hold that's not good. That means we're talking about the Yid, the guy put on the fire, the guy put in the bread, and the Jew just did something. Stoking the fire has to be something that's, took a minute shorter to bake because he stoked the fire. It's not a bee.
Today with the stove, isn't that kind of a joke?
What did they do? And what did they do? They put on the fire. Today they just put on the fire. The fire burns 24/7. They put on the fire, or they put on what they learn about Bishul Akum, they put on the starter, the pilot.
But if you turn off the stove, the Tauber was on the Shemitah, that was one opinion.
Yeah,
but load up high. That's fine.
If you put a load of high, that's okay. Since you change it to high, but it's just a drop to put in. So look in the weiter. Then is chafel lezurek ele etz echal tochatane hitle kolapasha ene duvereli is hekish shapasha lemsira. But throwing this in seems to say you got to. It's.
That it can be just a joke.
Yeah, well, that's a machlokes. What does it mean? And some takas say a bee throwing something in. Yeah, but others learn that the Aruch HaShulchan says that even if we would say that's the pshat, that that's only be the eva. The tchila should never be soimach in an oifum. It's ridiculous, just throwing in a spindle. That's the Aruch HaShulchan paskins. Lamaisa, you try to make sure that it accomplishes something more than just, I threw it in. That's what I just wanted to say. I don't know. Nowadays, I have no idea because nowadays the ovens, there's no chiti. The guy comes in and puts. I was told that they come in and put on the fire and it burns 24/7.
My wife's grandmother put on a barbecue. She doesn't keep Shabbos. If I add in a coal or two coals, that's it.
Barbecue, but meat is different. You're Sephardi?
Yeah.
That makes it worse. Yeah, but it doesn't make a difference. Barbecue, Sephardi stays Sephardi. I mean, it does nothing to do with the barbecue.
Everything else about you never heard it from us?
It's like honey changes the meat. There's a medrash. The medrash says you put a piece of honey into. I'm saying, but your grandmother was never from, or she was from and off. So then there's no Bishul Akum. She was never from.
She knows for sure.
What do you mean she knows?
She knows everything.
What? She was raised religious?
In a way. She never kept Shabbos, I don't think.
She was raised about Shabbos. Her parents kept Shabbos?
Yeah, I think her grandfather was a rabbi. He thinks.
If the grandfather was a rabbi, then it's a problem of Bishul Akum, yes. So by Bishul is worse. Bishul is worse. Bishul is a lot worse. You have to put on the fire. Svardim, you have to put on the fire. Even though you're Lubavitcher, you can't get rid of the...
You have to put the meat on it.
I mean the meat, not the fire. I'm sorry, the way around. You have to put the meat on. We Ashkenazim hold the fire, but the Svardim you have to put the food onto the fire, right? So that's why the Svardim have a serious problem. We'll get to it later. I don't want to be jumping them. The Sfardim have a huge problem eating in restaurants.
But don't they, I know somebody who calls and he says, I want you to mix the food or whatever.
Mixing the fire is not good enough for the Sfardim. He has to put the food onto the fire, the raw food.
Yeah.
He has to put the raw food onto the fire.
So this rule that we're saying about baking, is this specific to only baking or it applies to Bishul as well?
No, only baking. Bishul, it's a whole sermon later about Bishul. We're focusing on baking. Baking is a special kula because if you remember we spent, last week we explained baking was very difficult, so they had a lot of kulas in baking. So only by baking do we say that throwing in something, it makes it into pas yisrael. So again, some hold that like you throw in anything. Some hold that it's got to be. That's how the place can accept mostly that if you add the fire, should be a shtickle choshev adding fire. And the Maisa, the hashgacha business. I hate to speak for people, but I years ago asked someone who was doing that. They just put on the fire. Period. That's it. So.
I heard actually some bakeries where they have smaller ovens that don't stay on 24 hours. They set a time clock, and it's just enough for the machine to set the time clock, and it goes on every morning at 6
That's a
in the morning.
huge machlekes. That a huge machlekes in the Paiskim. Okay, since you brought it up, I'll speak about it. The huge machlekes if hagruma is called, you did it.
Causality.
How do you say?
Causality.
The what?
It's called
The English word causing something to happen.
Ah. Yeah. So, but Al Kapunim, that's a big machlekes. That's a huge machlekes in the Terez Achreinim. If it helps them out, there are many who hold that. Yes, I better. I was told that today they have a thing the mishgiach call in, and by calling in, it does a chain reaction.
By Ezekiel bread, Chavke says that's the only thing they do. They have a phone number, they call the number, and that makes the fire goes on.
So that's a big
That's not even
machlekes.
bread.
But
It
it's
is bread. No.
It's bread. We learned last
bread.
week is bread. It's called Pas Yisrael because he calls in the phone.
Wow.
He lights it with his phone.
Who's the Chavke again?
He said it in public.
Center. Yeah. That's a big chiddush. That's a huge chiddush. It's a big machlekes. And it's not a chiddush. The Ameiru is.
Is a less of a cause. It's closer.
I don't know how. Yeah. I don't know how it works. Coloring. I'm not sure.
The computer. The ring it lights it.
Yeah, it depends how quickly that happens. Today they can make it 1, 2, 3, immediately happen. Then it's called direct. But if it's if like he just said, they just set the clock. That's a big machlekes.
The whole concept of lighting the fire, knowing it's al kashrus that I'm close enough to the baking, it's relied on me, not on
It's a hecker. It's a hecker. Just to read, it's a hecker.
But that's like the kunst, though.
The hecker. That we have to remember, we don't mingle with the gun.
So this phone call thing, there should be some sort of limited space. It's ridiculous if you call away from another country, and even though it's activated in a second, because it's not real anymore. It's a joke. Why? Why is it a joke? Because
What, you're afraid you're going to intermarry with the daughter of the...
no, what I'm trying to say is the purpose is defeated. The purpose is defeated.
What's your first name again? Nochem. I'm going to explain to you some Nochem. In the Shulchan Aruch, there is the Lomdus and there's the Ashkufa. In Halacha we focus what it says. If this is called you did it, I don't care if you're in Alaska, you called in over here, or you're in Australia, you're wearing Australia shirt. You're from Australia and you call in here. It doesn't make a difference. If it's called you doing it, you're doing it. If it's not called you doing it, it's not you. And the reason is, Chazal felt this is good enough, a hecker. And to me, I'm astounded always when I learn this halacha how it really helped. Because a guy today marries a shiksa doesn't keep anything anymore. The times of I mentioned this the first week. After Charbon Bayis Rishon, between the two Charbonas, the 70 years, people married shiksas and they fasted Yom Kippur, they ate kosher. The wife was a shiksa. That's it.
That's it.
Like we speak Lashon Hara, not Pshul Chabad doesn't, but some of us do. Lashon Hara is not the worst thing. They, unfortunately, again, that was Chazal instituted this. It's almost raised it erratically. It's mamish doesn't. A guy is already marrying a shiksa, he doesn't keep anything today.
Right.
I'm saying it does work. this smaller kelim. But Chazal said the fact that we know, and we look at the Chovkei, and Chabad is busy, Pas Yisrael, you know, whenever they come to jets, and they always have these new items. This Pas Yisrael, Rabbi, this Pas Yisrael. This, the fact, makes us, we cannot mingle with the Goyim.
That's what I'm saying. It should not be counted. It's phone call.
No, if it's called you doing it, it's counted. That's it.
It out for a purpose, and it's
Yeah, but it's true, but it doesn't work that way. See, in Halacha, it doesn't work the way the Svara works. If it's called you doing it, it's called doing it. Okay.
But also, in the time of, just to reply to Nuchi's point, is that in the time of Chazal, they didn't have factories that were thousands of miles away that were shipping your bread. You know what I'm saying? It didn't work that way either. It was in your backyard, and it was being run by the guy's daughter,
That's true.
who you were worried about.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? So it works both ways. You're saying it doesn't work, the guy calling from Alaska, it doesn't really have a hecker. I'm saying today you don't really even need that hecker because it's a factory located thousands of miles away.
But to explain what you're
It is
saying,
what it is.
to explain what he's saying, that's why bakery bread was more cooler, because a bakery, you don't mingle with the daughter. You go into the bakery, where your neighbor sends you bread, or you send her, that's already more personally. That's why originally they asked the bakery and everything, then they said it was too difficult, so they allowed the bakery. Bakery is less chasness. But I want to reiterate that that's only bakery, not factories. And the factory is a problem with Bishul. The Chazal never will make on Bishul factory, it's only on bakery. Okay, so this is what the Rebbe says. Okay, this, I don't want to get into more details. Zug the Mechaber weiter. He brings down another question over here. Barabbin is an oven that has a thermostat. So, if it's set, because he brings down, and I'm not, have a sefer, just someone wrote a very, very chashuv sefer, the Bada Shulchan of Yeridei, his son, wrote on this Samanim. It's called Yad Ben Yamin. Very, very good sefer. Chelkes Ben Yamin. He brings down, today's another shalom what they have. They have, the bakery, have a built-in thermostat that the heat should never go higher. Otherwise, that's why bakery bread never burns. Between us, quietly, our wives, sometimes the challahs get a little bit. Yeah, but but the bakery, it rarely happens, and it has a what's his name has a thermostat built in. So he says making it higher doesn't help, doesn't make a difference. He says doesn't he just points that out. That doesn't.
But maybe when they put it in, it starts from zero. So if you put it on the fire, it took just a minute quicker to get to the highest temperature.
Yeah, but again, it has to help something and make the baking quicker. If it made the baking quicker, you're right. There has to be something nickel could tell him.
So in that case where it's not really changing anything, he's saying what? It's a
That
problem.
depends on this argument Rabbi Tauber said. If you need to have just a hecker.
If you need just a hecker, whatever. But if you need something more than that, like a tchilla, we are machmed to have something more than that. I know all. Okay.
What is the hecker exactly?
Hecker. What the word hecker
I know
means?
what hecker means. What is the hecker?
That a Jew had to do something to it. That's the hecker. A Yiddish person had to do something to it. That makes it the hecker.
And in the case of Kaf K, a phone call was the hecker?
That's good enough. If you hold a grumma is good, that's a hecker is good. The machlik is if a grumma helps. And maybe a phone call is not a grumma, maybe it's immediately. It depends how quickly.
How does it work? They call.
It's amazing how machmer they are. That they have two burners, just in case one goes out, because it has to be always in a steady temperature. So there's two of them. One would have been enough. So when one goes out, they call them to relight it again. It means it never gets shut off. They light both fires every day. It's a phone call.
Let's see. Okay.
One lights it, or somebody
He presses the buttons, and he makes a phone call, and when it rings, the ringing makes the light.
the light, the fire sound.
It's an electric fire. That's a call. You get it around.
Okay, Zug the Mechaber. Let's move on. Sif Yid, Rabbi say. Im Ufer, Betani al de over the Gechovim, if a baker baked Gimel Puma B'yoyim Echad. This is a story that happened. I want to explain something. The Shulchan Aruch very often, the Mechaber quotes something that happened. because of the numbers the Chayim says lav dafka. What happened was, a guy cooked 3 times a yoin, v'chshira tanal de kisem beis spumim. Twice, that means first 2 times they put in he threw in a piece of wood. If a pama shlishi lo yichshiroi, he was not machshirit. After became his mutter. 3 times they set the oven off, put the oven on. Same day. The first 2 times the Jew threw in a piece of wood. 3rd time he didn't. After became his good. Why? Because the reason is that if you ever watched an oven, a brick oven, it takes a day or 2 to cool off, literally. You know what I mean? If you ever went to the matzah bakery, if you saw those ovens, it is incredible. See, bricks, how's it called? How does it in English? They say absorb heat and it stays a long time hot. They have special bricks for the ovens to work that way. So even though the 3rd time it didn't, we say the heat from the last time is still there and it's good. This is an incredible cooler.
You're saying lav dafka 3 times. So you just have
Yeah, so they say lav dafka 3 times, maybe once. Now this is a cooler, and again the Acharonim say they will only make it if it happened. Like a tchila to be soimech, that the leftover heat from the last time should work for the next time is a big cooler, not to be soimech.
But that's presuming that the first batch of wood worked out completely.
Right. Yeah.
If there's something a little bit left over, the guy adding to it wouldn't be a problem.
I'm going to be proud. I just want to say, this is it's not negated nowadays. Our oven's made out of metal and it cools very quickly. I don't know the bakery how it works. I never was. You wonder who was in the bakery? You were in the bakery? I don't know. The little bit I noticed the bakery doesn't have these. They have a regular, metal oven. They don't have any fancy brick ovens. But
the guy Zeki Yeltsin, there's no oven. It's on a conveyor belt and it goes up on one of the
yeah, all these big companies have conveyor belts. They don't have any more.
Lav dafka on the 3rd time, so if a day later,
So if it cools off, it's cooled down. It depends if it cools off. The Rimur says, well, look at the Yesh Omre. Dem Hichsher Tan Pamach, Voli Umed Tanem Es Bloy Hesek. The first time they machsher it, and they kept on the whole time again and again, took no fire. There wasn't 24 hours cooled off. The Rimur says, but I feel offer by Kachkama Yuma Hakimib Koich Harishan. V'yesh Lis Machazeh. And after we can, the later Chaim said it's a huge cooler, not to be so. Means he held, if originally the oven was put on, the originally put in the kissim, and afterwards it never cooled off. They kept on heating the oven. Could be weeks, years. They'll be good.
That's
The Ramah adds this.
and Muhammad does not.
The Mechaber does not say that. Mechaber says it has to be like, not just first time after. The Mechaber says it has to last good. The Ramah says as long as the oven didn't cool off. So we say some of the heat is the original heat, stays there. And the Chroinim say they're not saying on this cooler. Lamaisa, they go like.
Is this specifically talking where the guy started it and you just added to it?
Yeah, that's what we're
Because
talking
if
about.
you started it,
Then
then
it's
it
a-
doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, the same question. If you started and after the guy started it,
There's
same-
no difference whether
yeah,
you started
but if the
just
guy
added to it.
right, if the guy started with the same, if he started it and later the guy did the rest of the same question.
So 1 second, so just today when you have these whatever these bagel factory or whatever these places where the oven was turned on, they say the oven never gets
They never
cold.
turn it off. They never turn it off.
Huh?
They never turn it off.
Right, so isn't that the same, that's
Yeah, that's Bechlal. It never turns off. Never get turned off.
You're saying that heat is originally,
That's not the original heat. I mean, you just turned it on. I mean, it's interesting thing. What do? You just lit the fire. Or the new gas is just pumping in. What?
Macabre would agree with that. Once you like the
Everyone agrees if you bypass, if you light it, it's okay. The questions over here.
the question is
Yeah,
if you
everyone
cool
agrees
down,
that.
it's still
Once you put out, the question is, it went out and the guy put it on, oven was still warm. So the Ramon says as long as the oven was warm and the guy put it on, it's going to be good.
so from
That's
what
a
you
huge
told,
cooler.
just the pilot is enough.
According to this, if you put on the pilot, this continuous gives off heat will be good enough. If there's a pilot, they don't use any more pilots in the huge these huge ovens. It's illegal to buy an oven, a stove with a pilot. You know that in California. But my balabat was someone who I told him was a big problem with Bishul Akum. So the rich people, doing. So they, you know, pointed out to them. So they bought an oven from Arizona. They bought in an oven, and to make sure it's a pilot. But in California, it's illegal. What? I don't know. Big deal. It's an Afghan. It's another few dollars. Yeah, but let's not confuse Bishul. Bishul is a whole different story. Okay. Okay, zoek de Mechaber weiter. So the Mechaber Yidalef. Pasha Yisush Offer with the Gechovim. Bali Chite di Yisroel. Bali Kisem User. It's User. User is winning over the Gechovim. Now let us sell it to a Goy. The User is winning Yisroel. He's going to sell it to a Yid. So, there's so many pshatim over here. There's a practical problem over here. Because you can't, a Yid is going to go buy from a Goy. Well, is the Goy, are we sending you sell it to a baker? So the push-up shot to make things easy, the Goy baked the bread. So you went to the bakery and sold them the bread. And it used to be that way. People bake bread and give it to the baker and he would sell it. He would buy from you. So that's what Mechaber is saying, don't do it, because a Yid is going to go into the bakery and buy bread, not realizing this is mamish pas. That means the Goy baked inside my house. That's in my house, the shiksa took care of everything. So that became pas Akum. So I went, and that's also because it's not pas made to sell, the shiksa made it for me. So then I take the bread and I sell it to the bakery. In the bakery, Yid might come in and buy it. So that's a problem, don't do that. So you're not allowed to sell it to the bakery in case the baker is going to sell it to a Yid who's coming shopping.
Is the bakery a Jewish bakery or is it just
A Goyish bakery. And he sells for everyone, and Jews are going to come.
He's going to say that I bought it from a Jew.
No, he's not Neman.
I cannot sell wholesale trade.
No. A Goy has no namunas. So here we're saying, the reason we're saying is that Yid is going to go in and buy, and it's very possible Yid is going to buy that bread. That's why it's a problem.
If he's going to a Goyish baker, he's not a Yid that
No, but you're allowed to buy in a Goyish baker. Pas palta.
So just to make sure I get this clear, the reason why it's a problem is specifically because it was made in the house.
Right.
Not in the bakery.
Right.
Because if the guy made it in the bakery, it's no problem for him to sell to the bakery.
Yes, if a Jew wants to be samich on the kula bakery bread, it could be samich. But the problem that is baked for yourself, and that's based on the Gemara. Often the Gemara says such a halacha. Okay, that's why the Minhag says. We never buy sliced bread. The chashin shemen he pas isa machle iso kachdi. That's why the Yid, the Minhag was, so nothing gave us. The Minhag was that if a Yid went and sold to a bakery, he would cut the bread. Because every Jew knows that cut bread you don't buy from a Goy. Understand? So maybe Yid sold it to him. But if it's a complete bread, you did buy. So because then a Jewish person, by mistake, has pas Akum, he would cut it.
So that's a way you can sell to the bakery.
Yeah.
Just cut it.
Cut it and sell it right.
Is pas palter always baker's bread, pas Akum is
Yeah,
always-
pas palter is baker's bread, pas balabais is private bread. Private. Pas palter is a private person made bread. A shiksa made bread for you. That's what it
What's
means.
the definition of pas Akum?
Pas akim is the general goyish bread.
Which covers both of them?
It covers both of them. Pas akim means both. The question is, we're makel sometimes, but pas palter. I just want to set the record something. I asked, he didn't come. I thought he was going to come. What's in Abin Surah? I noticed by the Sfardim what happens when used to happen by the Moshe. Whenever Sfardim wants to say kula and he doesn't find anyone, the Moshe said it. Even the Moshe that but Ashkenazim used to do always when the Moshe was alive. The Moshe said the kula. I've heard a few times that a Bavad Yosef holds that Sfardim allowed to drink chol of stam. But then someone told me that, who really knows his tshuvas, he doesn't know. So I asked this Abusur that he should do research in his. He says, I found the tshuva. He says there are Sfardim that are Mekel, but after Beken he says very clearly that that if you could be Machmer, you should be Machmer because we're not Soimech on the Sfardim. The Sfardim also used to be Machmer not to drink Chol of Stam. Even though the Pri Chodosh, the Pri Toya in the Baz is Mekel, after Beken the minig was by Sfardim, he says, unless you know for sure that was the minig was to be Machmer. That's what he brings. That's nothing to do with Shuvas and Moshe. This has to do, generally speaking, by the Sfardim. Understand? There's a question by the Sfardim what to do. So because people have told me, I heard this often, people saying this, that the Sfardish, and he doesn't, he says, it's not true. And I just want to explain this because, people ask me, and afterwards someone asked me, he's not here, maybe he'll listen to the tape. See, I want to just make it briefly when we actually get to that sim and we'll learn at a great length. The question about milk as today and the question about the milk that was, let's say, the times of the Shulchan Aruch has two separate questions. Question in the times of the Chronim was, if the farm, which they used to have farms too, that had no milk, no chul of behemoth tameya. There was nothing there. No more. Today, many farms have just milk, cows, nothing but cows. Now the question is, let me explain the question. Cheese of a goy, everyone agrees, even though they make. Let's start from Alabase. You know what cheese of a goy is also? Cheese of a goy is also because the goy takes from his stomach of an animal, piece of meat, and hangs it into a vat, and that becomes cheese. Today they figured it out, take the enzymes from an avela, and that makes an avela makes the cheese. An avela is iser, it's called over a mamad. So everyone agrees, if I know the goy made from the stomach lining, it's called a rennet from his animal, that the cheese is also. Now even though well, that's Medrabanon. That's not the Raisa, because Dora Mam is only Drabanon. But the point is also, now the second question is, what happens, at any times of the Rambam and the Goyim, they stop, the Goyim figure out you can make it with certain plants. Today we do it with also chemicals. You can make cheese, rennet, not taken out of a stomach lining. You could take it, there's different chemicals. The Zman Goyim, they said, once the Chazal asked cheese, Baminyan, they said you can't eat cheese because they use rennet, which is not kosher. Even though the Goy makes his cheese with chemicals, it's aser. This, everyone agrees. There is no one who doesn't say this. Okay? Because many cheeses, the American kosher cheese, what my children like to eat, I'm sure you have children, they like this, not the cream, the staggered cheese. There's cheese, the cheap American cheese. That is not made, it's not made from rennet.
There's no milk in it either.
What? But it's not made from rennet. The point is, it's not, the cheap cheeses, I was told, even the ones that are not made from rennet. It doesn't make a difference. Once it's cheese, the Chazal said, is also there's no one in the Rishonim Achronim ever said it's okay. That's clear. The question was, when the Chazal asked it, Cholov, was it also a cross-the-board loy plague? We don't care. We don't care, or was it, there has to be a chashash. Now everyone agrees it doesn't have to be a big chashash, it has to be some chashash. Now the Pri Chodosh and the Pri Toyer, the Sfardish Gedolim at times, and the Baz, they all held that if there is, I say, what was the question? If there's no concern, that's the word in English. If there's no concern, the marshal, they had not only farms, they had entire towns. They didn't have any animals that produce milk. There was no animals that produce milk. Today, there are farms, I know where the milk, they make the milk, the entire farm has only cows. And today, it's better today. Today is no one gets down on all fours, milk anything. It goes into a machine, and it's ridiculous. I mean, and it doesn't. So the question is, the chashash is very little. Maybe. So the Pri Chodosh and the Pri Toya held that if there's no chashash, you don't have to worry. The other chronim, which the Ashkenazim chronim, and I looked up today the Tzemach Tzedek, he's also that's very machmer. and he holds that not like the Pri Chodosh, he says clearly, and he says, Rika built was the Chum Sofer. He wrote a famous tshuva about it. The Chum Sofer said that we Ashkenazim said that Cholav works the same way. It's a loy plik. But later learn it's not so simple. It's very confusing, and it's extremely confusing, but I just want to explain the loy plik, and Mamela, the milk of even though there's no chashash, let's say today there are farms where strictly have thousands of cows, that's all they do. And it is a problem. That's what the question is, Ramosha has nothing to do with this. I will go into this. I just want to explain this. People are confused. This Ramosha's Hatter was built even after we are Mahmud and we say, we'll see the Shulchan Aruch later why the Ramosha is a, what?
Even if we say like,
Even if we say loy plug, Ramosha holds that it's still.
But the Sfardim don't need to.
But I'm just saying,
because they don't-
right, but I looked up the Bioimer, and the Bioimer says that the art Svardim are Mekel, but you should be Mahmed. And there were many cities in Turkey and Eretz Yisrael where the Svardim were always Mahmed. That's how the Chidu brings it down like this. It's not like someone told me, it was a Svardim Shirov who told me that. It's not so simple, the Svardim were always Mekel. Not, I said last week,
Maybe those
Mekel.
Sfardim communities were areas where they didn't have dairy.
I have no idea.
only, like, all the cows.
No, there seems like on this psak, the Chidu writes, the Chidu was quite early, writes that the psak, imagine, we're talking about the bombers of the Sfardim, the Pri Chodosh, the Rebaz, and the Pri Toyer. Pri Toyer was the Archaim, which was by the Sfardim, like, after became the Chidu is a Talmud of the Pri Toyer, of the Archaim. He says that in Turkey and in Eretz Yisrael, they never accepted this kula. They accepted that even though there's no chash like the Ashkenazim. So Rabbi Vad Yosef writes that you should be Mahmed, unless you know your place wherever you are. That's what he writes. I just want to correct myself because I've heard this from two Sfardim Shirabanim, that Rabbi Vad, he doesn't say that. Could be, he has so many writings, but in that tshuva, one of the tshuva claim doesn't say that.
What do people lean on today?
they don't need.
Well, the Moshe's Kula was not built on this. Maybe I'll explain it briefly, but we'll later learn by Laurent. The Gemara has a case. I know everyone is curious about the Moshe's Kula, but let me explain the Gemara. The Gemara has a case like this. A goy is milking cow, has in his barn a cow and a chamar. And I go to the goy and I tell him, do me a favor, here's a bucket, I need cow's milk. And I go out of the barn and I sit down. And if I get up, I could see him. If I don't get up, I don't see him. The Gemara says it's okay. I didn't see him. Why, the Gemara says? The goy is merces. That means he's afraid. Now, it doesn't say, I always tell people, merces, that he's afraid you're going to shoot him. He's not afraid. It doesn't say you're a customer that you get $10,000 a week. You know what I mean? You could have been the only customer because your cow just died. My cow just died. I need just down, passing the area. He looks foolish that if you come in, you catch him with the chamar. I always tell people, you're not going to put diamonds on the table with soymech and that mirisis. There's always a rule that, how you say in English, you have to, the mirisis has to work together with the fact. For that, a guy is not going to look like a fool. But diamonds, somehow he'll dissipate the diamonds. Not so mirisis. It has to be, so that this is a tiny mirisis, and the Gemara says, the Gemara says it's okay. Can't argue with the Gemara. So that's the case of the Gemara. So the Moshe held, who says you need mercies of a yid? If the goy is afraid of the government, will punish him for that. That helps too. That's his argument.
USDA.
What?
USDA.
Yes, they are afraid.
What about the cheese then? Don't we have a bigger
Nothing to do with cheese. We're talking nothing to do with the cheese. We're strictly focused on the milk. And the other held, it's very hard. The Chassidish, the arguments of Moshe, who argue in Moshe, don't have a very strong argument. I must be honest, the Moshe's argument is very strong.
Because of mercies.
Mercies. They just say, when I was young, I heard the Satmar Rebbe said, I asked someone why, Satmar Rebbe said, tell me, he said in Yiddish, he said very good, I'll try to say in English. He says, tell me which goy you cannot bribe with $5. Find me a goy that I cannot bribe with $5, he said. But that's not true. But that doesn't mean the Gemara is not right. You can bribe anyone. Every guy has the price, but that's not what we're talking about. Still is a mirsis.
The Jews have a price too.
Yeah, there's a mirsis. Yeah, that doesn't matter. We're talking about the mirsis. That's so what? But this doesn't take away the mirsis.
No, I'm saying theoretically, if you have a mashkiach, Rabbi, you know what I mean? Some people could say that guy off also. There's always, you know.
Yeah, but that we're not choshed. We're not choshed for that. No, that doesn't. The problem is, do we say the fear exists? That's the question. Yes, the fear does exist. I mean,
So technically, according to that, is okay.
according to the Moshe is good, and I must say, all the today's Gedolim argued on him. But when I was young, I went through all the Tshuvas who argued with him, and there's only one Gadol who argued, was Rav Breish from Europe. There was Rav Zurich, the Eisen of Chalkes Yoev. He tries to argue, say you need mirsis from a Yid, not from a Goy, and he brings an interesting Chacham Tzvi, which is a big chiddush. It's a whole complicated pilpul. Bottom line is, the Moshe was very big. No one who was Soymich wasn't accepted, maybe for every reason. But you can't look at a guy drinking Chol of Stam that who knows what he's doing. You could be Mahmed. I never in my life drank Chol of Stam. Never. I'm just saying. It doesn't mean that the Moshe was Mekel. And you can be Mekel because once you started the Chumrah, people ask me all the time, can I start drinking? No, because it's like a neder. You have to keep it. If you once you accepted it, it's very hard to change that. But the Moshe was built on a foundation. It's not Stam.
Wouldn't the same
What
kind
if
of
someone who
concept
started it and
apply-
broke it?
What's that? What?
While we're on it, wouldn't the same kind of concept apply to bakeries? That there's a mirrors from the government? I mean, in many things that we do, we can.
Mirsis legaba what? The sarcastas. Bakery is not a problem of mix in. Bakery is the problem intermarriage. The goy's bread is 100% kosher. The shiksa made bread to you next door, made for you rice bread, you could eat the rice bread.
Saying if there's government regulation in any area, we can apply the same thing.
It's true, but that is true. But that doesn't, that is true that you could assume that it's kosher. You know what, I want to tell you something interesting. You know, you see there's a great mirsis. Mirsis does exist. The fact was that I pay attention to this. Last year, there was a company in Iowa or Wyoming, I forgot which country, which sells eggs to the southern part. They felt salmonella in the eggs. Iowa was it? The company lost $200 million over that. And Ralph's said, the entire Ralph says, we're not buying the eggs. We don't care if you fix it. Finished. He lost entire California. Ralph's is not a small customer. You know, I mean, it's not a... So you see that because it shows that people are nervous. That this farm was a verschleppte Kranko was running it, and but he lost. There was you remember the story with the peanuts in Texas? The guy was someone died and they closed the whole company. I mean, there is mirsis the guy that the government is going to come. There is mirsis.
What about certain milk products which are only made from, let's say, a cow's milk?
So but that's Chol of Stam, which is also.
Should it not be? Because you know there's no way the product can be produced with other.
What do you mean?
Like I'm not sure, but I think butter or maybe certain kind.
Butter we later learn why butter is okay. That's a whole separate
Maybe
thing.
non-Chol Yisrael butter.
Yeah, not fine. You can eat it, but for certain people. Yeah, hypothetically, Moshe Chanukh says it's fine. Everyone grew up. I want to tell you a big secret. After the war, there was no kosher butter. After the war, I grew up, and the old generation believed that fat is healthy, butter is healthy, and everyone ate stam butter. Everyone. In Williamsburg, in the Heilige Williamsburg, everyone. All of a sudden, was titmanish for panusa, someone needed panusa, he says, yeah, butter's not good, and then all of a sudden, there was kosher butter.
But the logic was you can't make butter with other animals.
That's a Gemara. Butter is mitzvah, but there was still a minig in Europe that they didn't eat butter.
They did.
Yes, the minig. But that's why butter is much more much easier. Yes.
Only butter. Only butter and not for you.
Question of definitions, just what's the word mean? Okay. If a Jewish person owns a cow, he's a frum guy, totally shomer everything, and he sells his milk from his cow, is that even called Yisrael?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who milks it.
No, he does the milk, he does it everything, okay?
Yeah, he does everything. That's Chol of Yisrael. The Chol of Yisrael doesn't mean who does. Chol of Yisrael means it could be a goyz. It could be. The point is, I saw him. The Chol Yisrael means we see the goy milk the cow, and he didn't milk it. The milk that I have comes from a
Doesn't matter who owns the cow.
doesn't make a difference.
Can you clarify?
Security cameras count as I saw.
Yeah, why not?
So why can't we just put up like a security camera in these big dairies?
There's one problem. There is one problem.
What do you say? You
They have the security camera to know if the mashgiach is on the job, but
you
That's
don't
true.
sit and watch the cameras all day long. If they know they're being filmed,
but the problem is something else. You have to check the kalim before you do that. There's a separate. You can't. You have to anyways go there. The mashgiach has to go there. They milk the cow. Have to check the kalim.
So a new Goyish company is opening up tomorrow.
Doesn't make a difference. You have to check the kalim. But we can't go into detail. We're going to learn the whole sugya. So I know that everyone's yes.
to be supervised by your Jew. You have to be from now, it doesn't matter.
Well, it has to be from.
Yeah,
So how it's work in Israel? Because
Yeah, that's the
I used to be
question,
kibbutznik, I used to work at the dairy and I used to milk cows. Knuva taking the milk. And I think Knuva it's kosher. So
But it was who owned the dairy? A Jew owned it, right? The
yeah,
kibbutz.
Yeah, and the kibbutz and the whole
That's a little different. But I later learned that's a little different.
My grandfather was a big rabbi.
Yeah, it's okay.
on Israeli milk, I never saw, it's 20 years ago when I was there, I never saw anything that said Chol Yisrael on it.
No, it's obviously Chol Yisrael. But later learn why. That's a little different. The Jew owns the farmer.
Rabbi, just to clarify, this heter of Moshe was to be used with a chila, or was it meant to
Moshe,
be used?
I want to say a secret. The Moshe said like a tchila to sue. He used the heter. He like a tchila held that it's perfectly okay. When he was bombarded by everyone, so he says, "Man, not like a tchila, ben Torah should be machmer." He held it's mitta like a tchila.
So the tshuva about the yeshiva was only after the pressure?
And Moshe didn't give it to pressure, but he held that since everyone held it also,
It didn't address it in the letter. The letter he said yeshivas shouldn't use it.
Yeah, I can't answer, but just saying that.
Can I ask you a question a little on this topic? If someone eats chol of Akum in their house and they cook and they milk the kalim with it, is it not okay for people who keep chol Yisrael?
Yeah, that's another machlokes, and the some seif in the tshuva says you have to be machma. The seif in the tshuva writes about that. Mamish this question. Seif writes that in Ashkenaz we never were soimach on the kula of the svardim, so even the blias of the kalim will become asa.
Yeah, but that doesn't take into consideration the Moshe.
No, it's not with Moshe. So people have asked me. I want to tell you something. People ask me this question. Not just theoretical. I have people who, they become from the in-laws are Chol of Stam, and I'm going to come there and I'm going to turn my, So I said to them, it's a blias kalim. You could be soimach because even on real Chol of Akim, the Shach brings one opinion that blias kalim is not asa. We'll later learn that. Mamish Chol of Akim. We are machma. And there was anyways according to Sfar the Shigdoilim it's mutter and Moshe. So for this fake, if it's any ben yoyim, you could be soimach. You don't have to turn over the house.
The real reason why not to go there is the good parents.
Yeah, but be realistic. Sometimes children have to go to the in-laws, and to the parents are from.
The same family, let's say one family member, they make a special breakfast, all the family members, they make it with Chol Yisrael, so everybody can eat it. To go and then.
Yeah, and then say, but the kalim is not good. And I've heard this often. That's true. What do you want? Okay. I just wanted to set the record straight. And shkoich for Jonathan. Jonathan is your name?
So just to clarify,
Yes.
the kalim is used with chol of stam.
Like a tchilla, you should not be soimach on that. I just tell people who ask me, they go to the in-laws or, and they're makpid and the in-laws are not makpid and if a kid, like he just said, and the in-laws makpid, they bring Chol Yisrael in and everything, and you're not going to use the kalim. It causes a terrible, you can be soimach on any b'yoyim, you can be soimach on the kalim. It's not, yeah, because there are many poskim, there's so many sveikas, that you could be soimach.
We're following the place not who are machmer.
Yeah, but again, on the kalim, which is Eine Ben Yoima, and there's anyway so many reasons to make, even the original Chol of Akim, the Shach brings a day, that's mutter. We're machmer. Talking about the din of the Gemara. He says the Ashkenazim were not soimich on that. So I'm saying we hear it, anyways the Moshe is makel, so we're machmer. On the kalim, you surely could be makel. This is a problem that, you don't have this problem. Sometimes they dafke buy chalav yisrael, right?
My kids, either my grandma,
And she buys dafke chalav yisrael.
she buys stuff.
So-
It happens also.
Yeah, the Elchonon, and she buys and she cooks. Right, that's true. He's right. Ashkenaz could eat. I've been asked this question more than once. I just have a guy who comes to my shir who he's marrying Ashkenazi, and his in-laws are all nervous about the whole thing. Anyways, a Sephardi, Sephardim eat kidneys, and so Ashkenaz allowed to eat. They just don't eat kidneys. The Shiurim holds that way. I don't know what.
Kalim's a non-issue.
Everyone agrees Kalim is not an issue by kidneys.
Well, are Ashkenaz allowed to own kidneys, or you don't?
Sure, you're allowed to own kidneys.
You are allowed.
Yeah, we don't eat kidneys, but blees Kalim is not a problem of kidneys.
Right.
Not everybody is.
All of Akum is a lot worse than that.
Kidneys is nothing, is not chumetz.
No, I remember like last year, somebody bought oil by mistake. He bought the wrong one. It was the kidneys oil.
That is such a chumrah which doesn't even make sense. We spoke about this last year. You told me this.
That's right. But anyhow, either
Doesn't make
way,
sense.
you'd be able to hold on to the oil.
Yeah. I want to tell you a secret. Before someone made a tumult, entire Klal Yisrael ate kidney oil. When I was young, everyone had cottonseed oil for Pesach. All of a sudden, vayuvoi, someone made a tumult. That's all you need. Someone make a tumult, and we're finished.
Just because people did it for many years, it doesn't mean it's
No, it was right. It's okay.
Jesus not okay. Many people are missing.
No. Everyone, all the Rabbanim said it's okay. Guy made a tumult based on a chumrah of an achron. It's just ridiculous. Just saying.
But when people first came to America, all the frum Yidden looked at ingredients and ate things.
That's not true. That's not true.
In many circles.
Okay, but not in the way I grew up.
Before you're in the 20s.
I can't talk about it. Hungarians came. The Hungarians were not that way. I could tell you when I grew up.
But many.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Hungarians came. We ate nothing. Growing up, there was unless it was no candy. We didn't buy candies unless we knew it was kosher. No, it wasn't that way.
So I'm saying, well, for those groups that did, they were just misinformed. That's it.
That's a separate issue.
Paid off.
Yeah, but I'm saying, kidney is oil is a big. But Miyat Hashem remind me place. I'll explain it. Okay. Yud Bezudim Chaben Ufa Oivig Yichum Rapas B'Lo Chiti Yisro B'Lo Kisem. Without throwing in this is a very, very important mechaber, which if you ever get stuck with no pas Yisrael. So you say, "Filikar b'pnei pas betanen moyel chiti Yisrael kol zman shepas tzurich letaner imashbir b'fius adayin." As long as the bread, let's say the goy made the bread, but the bread could use a little bit better. I saw someone showed me a bread. What's the name? Ralph says it, a bagel. I forgot the name. No, but someone once showed me a bagel, mamish that way. And he showed me that you could make it crispy. It's not like the bagels there, but it's not so crispy. That's the case the Machab is talking about. That you really could. It can use.
Supermarket bagels are like that. They're like
soft, and they can use a little bit. But if it is really done already, seems from many achronim nothing you can do. So some hold that even toasting. The Avnei is a famous makel that holds that even toasting is good enough. That's what he's saying. Moyel.
Who's the
Avnei, this was the Avnei was this. He was what? Who's the Rosh Yeshiva? The Sachachov Rebbe, the Avnei was a Guan Oila. He was a son-in-law of the Kotzker Rebbe. He was a Polish Guan. He was a Rebbe and he was one of these Goinim. So he was unbelievable big. And he has a famous shua that he says, and that was Soimach on many, like you said, when you were Soimach when you were living, what you told me last time? Hankan. There was Soimach on the skula where they would take the bread and put it into the oven, make it crispier. Some hold that once it's done, it doesn't help. And some learn the meant if it's mitztamik v'yufaloi, means it gets taka better, it helps. And the Avnei holds, I'll tell you a big secret, even Bishul. If a Bishul, if it's mitztamik v'yufaloi, can you turn this off a second?
Shachanunezer, you